Hi there, welcome to Stereo 3D Productions. I'm almost ready to make this video, but before I go ahead, I need to make a modification to this chair so that I can buckle the fuck up for Elite Dangerous. So, I'll see you in a second. Okay, phew. Now, I have welded a seat belt to this chair using a culinary torch and a really random wok spatula. That was totally real, by the way. And I gotta tell you, I feel 100 times safer. We are now ready to embark on the adventure that is Elite Dangerous. Now, I need to point something out. This will not be my usual approach to a first impressions video. Elite Dangerous simply has too much depth for me to jump into it cold and try to describe what I'm experiencing within the first hour of gameplay. That simply wouldn't be fair to the game, nor would it be fair to you, the viewer. I've been wanting to cover this game for a little over a year now, and I knew that this would require a bit more work than my usual first impressions video. So I went ahead and put aside about 6 to 7 hours of my personal time this week to play this game, get my head around the very basics. Now, I'm still in that first impressions phase, except I'm just not totally clueless anymore. I kind of know what I have to do at the very base. Some of you may wonder, how come I knew I'd have to research Elite Dangerous before doing a video on it? Well, I happen to have a little bit of history with this game dating back to 2014. Before the game was on Steam, heck, before the game even released, I purchased some pre-release content on the Frontiers website. All it was back then was a set of training missions that would show you how the ships work, glance over combat, and the various controls. And just from that, I could tell that this was going to be a hell of a behemoth upon release. Since then, now, we are in 2019, almost 5 whole years later. Happy New Year, by the way. Just wanted to throw that in. But this thing has gone leaps and bounds. This is not recognizable from what I saw back then. It's been that long for me, and all of it is mostly positive. I'm really impressed. Now, the reason I wanted to get back into this game, absolutely wanted to make a video on it, is because even back then, I remember when I first tried it, the VR support looked like it was being made with a lot of respect for that medium. Here you have a spaceship simulation in a world that doesn't exist, and it's being made to be incredibly believable and immersive. I've known a few people who've actually played the game after release, and they swear by this thing in virtual reality. I mean, I'm not talking people who've played a dozen hours of it in VR. I'm talking hundreds of hours, and each and every one of them would tell you that this thing is amazing for virtual reality. So it was a must for me to cover. I mean, Elite Dangerous uses the headset in its simplest form. No room scale, no gimmicks, just you, your ship, your controls, and total comfort, even for absolute VR beginners. Now, before I get to where this all began, to the training missions, which I do want to demonstrate in this video because they make some pretty good first impressions, I need to talk about my control scheme because I am using a couple of controllers that I should mention before I go on. I will be using, to play this game, my trustworthy aviation stick and my rudder pedals. Both are made by CH Products. They're really solid controllers. I happen to use these to fly a pair of UAV rockets that I developed myself. I actually made a remote control cockpit where I fly the aircraft using stick and rudder, and I have a live video feed so I can see a first-person view of the rocket's perspective while I am flying it. So if these controls are good enough for a live rocket, they are most definitely good enough for a simulation. And so I swear by these things. I'm gonna explain how I set it up. I actually have my yaw axis on the rudder pedals, and I have my pitch, my roll, and my throttle on the stick, and I actually used a hat switch for my vertical and horizontal thrusters. So this is a really simple setup, and it should actually allow me for some really immersive flight. I mean, if these ships existed, which they don't, but if they did, this feels so close to actually flying a real aircraft. Plus the thrusters and the space-related controls that you don't have in an airplane, I'm pretty sure that a spaceship like this would feel like what I have set up here if it were to actually exist. It's pretty incredible. So I got no complaints on the controls front, although I did use a couple of devices to make this even more realistic. Alright, let me quickly, briefly introduce you to how all this comes together, especially with the VR headset. Well, first off, you can tell that I'm sitting in what appears to be an awesome spaceship cockpit. When I move the stick, you can actually see the stick move, same for the throttle, so there's a bunch of animated controls like that. I have a body model which feels amazing in VR. Although my hands aren't quite in the same location, it really does feel immersive, and it feels like I'm really there. You have a bunch of fixed displays, the radar in the center, the ship status to the right of the radar, to the left of the radar you have the targeting system, and to the far right you have the energy distribution system, so I can actually alter that. I set myself some keybinds on my stick. And then there are the pop-up displays. There's the communications panel on the top, which I can navigate with my keyboard. There is the navigation panel on the left, which I can also navigate with my keyboard. To the far right, the other pop-up display would be the modules panel, which I can also navigate with my keyboard. Now, these are intuitive enough that after a while, it started feeling like I was using real display panels in a real spaceship with some real buttons. Even though I'm using the keyboard to navigate all this, this all feels incredibly real, and it's basically, you'll learn how to use these very quickly, which is a good thing because there's a ton of content to figure out in all of these. And if the controls didn't really come in intuitive like this, it would be 10 times more complicated to get around all the dynamics of this game. But this was really simple. I really enjoyed it, and I have no problems with it so far, except for little complaints. Like I find sometimes the range where you have to look at is too tight, so you'll tend to move your head while you're reading text and it'll close like what you just saw now. But for the most part, it is really well implemented. The best they could, in my opinion. I'm going to go ahead and use this menu while I go over one last thing, and that is a myth that used to be brought up a lot in the development days of VR, but I'm kind of disappointed to see it still come up 3 years after the commercial launch of virtual reality. And that is, how can you play the game if you can't see your controller because you're wearing a headset? Okay, here's when that is an actual problem. Never. That's when. If you think that's a problem, you undermine one thing that all gamers have, and that is muscle and tactile memory. Whether you play with a gamepad, a keyboard, or a joystick, it doesn't matter. If you remotely are familiar with the input method you're using, you will not have any problems not looking at your controller while you're playing. In fact, look at it this way. Do you ever stare at your controller, whether it be a gamepad, a joystick, a keyboard? Do you ever stare at those controls while you're playing a game, or are you actually looking at the game itself? See, to me, that myth does not make much sense, and it really bothers me, and I just want to debunk it one more time and just explain to everybody that it does not exist. It is very well a myth and nothing more. Wearing a headset, not seeing your controls, will not stop you from playing any game whatsoever. Alright, it's time to go back to where all this began. However, I want to not ignore something before I proceed. Sometimes I talk about having a good title screen in VR. This is what I'm talking about. This looks freaking awesome. The hangar, the ship, the fog coming down from the ceiling. This looks absolutely awesome. I mean, there's not much in terms of logo, but come on. Everything else is perfect for VR. This is highly welcoming. Now, going back to where all this began, the training missions. It's been so long since I've last been in those that they've completely changed. I was really impressed when I opened this. Now I'm going to do this entire list except advanced combat training. Reason being is I'm having problems with advanced combat training. I keep getting my ass handed to me. I'm not doing very good. I'm a bad trainee. The other 4 items I am very good with. So let's get right into it. We're gonna learn all the basics together. At least if you don't know anything about this game, you will after I go through a few of these. So basic flight training.
Anybody in there? Hey, pilot, do you read me?
Yes.
You look like you got yourself in a fix. Your ship's so dead in the water, I almost mistook it for one of these asteroids. Let me launch a repair drone, see if I can't get that crate back online. Lucky I showed up when I did. You wouldn't last long out here in your current predicament.
Alright, so first off, the environment they put me in looks absolutely awesome.
Some control systems are still offline, but you should have basic drive functionality now. You might want to check that your throttle's still working. Go ahead and set your throttle, Commander.
Alright, so here we go. I can use my basic controls. Starting with the throttle.
Well, that's a result. We might just get this rust bucket space-worthy. Drone repair sequence is still running on your ship. You're lucky I had these things. They're not what you'd class as standard equipment. Your attitude control should now be active. See if you can pitch your ship up and down. Give it a go.
So this is the pitch with my stick, just like the throttle.
Okay, you should be able to give it a try now. Spin your ship on its central axis using your roll controls.
Alright, so I got that also on a stick axis.
One final axis of control and you should be good to go. Yaw is back online now. Why don't you try pivoting your ship from side to side?
Okay, and by the way, I gotta mention something. I got a secondary camera for this video showing my rudder inputs. I thought this would be really relevant, so here we go. This is the yaw input.
That's it, Commander. It would appear you have a semi-operational sidewinder on your hands. I wouldn't take any chances, though, so you best get that ship into dock for repairs. There's an outpost nearby. See if you can make it there. I guess now might be a good time to introduce myself. My name's Blaine. I'm something of a freelancer in these parts. You know, this could be a lucky break for both of us. I've been looking for a business partner. Someone to help me with potentially lucrative ventures. And you need someone to take you under their wing. Show you the ropes, so to speak. I have to say, it's not often I help out strangers like this. So I think you owe me one. The least you can do is buy me a Levy and brandy. I'll see you at the outpost, Commander.
This is really cool with all the asteroids around me and everything. So, it's kind of like flying a plane, but it's a spaceship, so there's a bit more controls than that. I do think the thrusters are online, so I can move it up and down, kind of like in 6 Degrees of Freedom game, but not quite. In fact, I have tried the mouse and keyboard controls for this game, and I really did not like them. So I thought it would be a good idea to try with the joystick and rudders, and that's where I found out that I really like this control model. You need some specialized controllers. I think even a gamepad would be more enjoyable than the keyboard in this case, mostly because I don't like the way they interpret mouse input. Basically, you move the mouse, and when it's off-center, it starts rolling or pitching your ship, which I don't think is a good idea. I much prefer something like Descent, where as you swipe, it actually inputs. You don't have to recenter your mouse constantly. But when it comes to like flight controls with actual flight controllers, this is absolutely amazing, and it's basically aviation plus thrusters. You gotta get your mindset off aviation a little bit if you want to fly correctly. In fact, that's what I think I'm doing wrong in the advanced combat training, by the way. Just wanted to mention that. So I've just completed the basic flight training. It's very easy. It just lets you discover all the controls without rushing through it, which is what would happen if you were to go in the main game and try to learn everything from there. Alright, the next step in the training missions is docking and travel training. Now, I gotta say, this one is the one that impressed me the most out of all 5, because there was absolutely nothing remotely like it in 2014. I can't say the same for the other 4. There was combat, there was cargo, there was some basic flight training, but I had not seen any of the space stations they planned for the game, nor did I see docking and the whole travel and warp system. So all this really impressed me when I tried it this week, because it was my real first time getting into it. So I'm gonna take a look at that with you, because I think it's really impressive and does demonstrate what you'll be doing a lot in this game. Alright, so step 1, this is absolutely amazing. If you haven't seen any of the space stations in Elite Dangerous, and you end up sitting here in virtual reality, your first reaction is like, whoa, this is really cool. This is a lot more than I remembered I seen in 2014. It really blew me away. So check this out. I'm gonna hit return to surface like she just told me, and that's gonna start a whole bunch of animations to get me out of the station, and they're really, really impressive. There's a sort of lift that picks me up and just lifts me into the main station, and then I'm actually going to have to manually fly out of here. Like I said, I had not seen any of this in the 2014 training missions.
Okay, you're ready to launch. Take her out, Commander.
Alright, so select launch for takeoff. Go ahead and do that.
You can use your vertical thrusters to clear the landing pad. By the way, try not to end up as wall decoration on your way out.
Wall decoration. Okay, so I'm gonna do as she says. I'm gonna use my vertical thrusters, which is mapped on my joystick's hat switch. I'm just gonna go straight up and just make sure my path is clear, which sometimes it may not be, so you want to keep an eye on that. So I'm just gonna steadily move straight up, align myself up with the center of that door, and then I'll start flying forward. So I'm just using thrusters for starters. I'll rotate my ship to match that door's orientation and start giving some throttle to get out. So this is really impressive, and as you get used to it, you'll start to do your station entrances and exits in absolute style. You start getting the hang of it, so you start going faster and faster, and it starts looking really cool. So I thought that this was absolutely blowing me away, because I already thought the cockpit and all the mechanics were really immersive, but this throws it over the top. This is really very cool. So I'm gonna actually exit this shielded door. It's got the holographic shields or whatever these may be. They look absolutely awesome with the fog and everything. I'm gonna gain a little bit of speed, give some more gas here, so we can exit and get a view out on open space.
You're clear of the access corridor. Your ship's still mass locked by the station. Once you get beyond 5 kilometers, you'll be able to make the jump to supercruise.
Alright, so now it's telling me to retract my landing gear, and I believe the key to retract the landing gear is L. So I'm going to go ahead and press that. And that's going to allow me to go a little bit faster. So I'm going to go ahead and increase my throttle. And it tells me to exit to 5 kilometers to leave mass lock the station. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to max the throttle, and then I'm going to hit the boost button. Listen to this.
Masslock, Commander. You're good to charge up your frameshift drive now. Just hold on tight.
You hold on tight one moment, ma'am. Before I charge the frameshift drive, I just want to make a mention about how the sound is incredible in this game. The engine sounds, when you hit the boost, it sounds like there is nuclear fuel burning right behind your ass. And that just adds to the virtual reality. Another thing I wanted to do before I leave is just turn around and take a look at the station I just came out of. because we're going to start getting some cool sights during these missions. And this is one of them, in my opinion. It looks really nice there. So I could actually go back there, return to the dock. I will not. I'll actually go ahead and follow my instructions here so our training missions don't take forever. So here we go. Let's charge the frameshift drive by hitting the J key.
Frameshift drive charging.
And it's going to charge, and then it's going to tell me to hit the throttle. And here comes the countdown.
4, 3, 2, 1, engage.
Great. Your ship is in Super Cruise. This is the best way to hop around a system, but you need to go a little bit further afield. Start by plotting a route for Iranen on your left-hand nav panel.
So she wants me to go to Iranen, so I'm going to use my left-hand panel, which I demonstrated earlier. This is actually in my list of locations, so it's very easy to find. I didn't need the galaxy map. I'm just going to go ahead and select Iranen by hitting the spacebar, and I will lock the destination.
You won't get anywhere without punching in a destination first, Commander. Right. Now that your target is locked in, you're clear to make the jump to hyperspace. Point your ship at the target and charge up your FSD.
All right. Charge up the FSD. I do believe I hit J again, and that will send me flying to Iranen. This is going to be our first hyperspace jump. I think I may have done one during the very long overview that I did at the beginning of this video, but we're gonna do another one. This is the first real one.
Frameshift drive charging.
So when I first saw this, I had no idea there was such a thing as hyperspace in Elite Dangerous, because in 2014 it wasn't part of the training missions, right? So when I saw it, it was like, holy crap, this is so cool. And here we go. I absolutely love the effect they did here, which gives you the impression you're going through half the goddamn galaxy. It's hard to represent that kind of speed and that kind of scale, and I think they really did an amazing job. The way it ends is absolute bliss.
Just don't show any support for the Federation, and you should get on fine with the locals. My contact is over at Azaban City. Try not to keep him waiting too long. This guy gets a little twitchy if things don't run like clockwork. Go ahead and select the station on your nav panel, then use your compass, there on the left of your radar, to orient the ship towards the destination. And just so you know, the compass indicator will show up as a solid dot when you're pointing towards your target, and hollow when you're facing away from it.
Alright, so, if I'm not mistaken right now, I need to select Azaban City.
Commander, so you'll want to keep an eye on your distance, speed, and alignment at the bottom left of your cockpit display. Once you're within 1,000 Ks from your target and going less than 1,000 kilometers per second, you should be safe to drop out. If you keep your speed in the blue zone, you'll be less likely to overshoot your mark. But if you do, you can always loop back around and try again.
So, I've got my target selected, which I did while she was explaining that you don't want to overshoot your targets, and you want to keep your throttle in that blue zone. Approaching a destination in Super Cruise is an act of fine balance, basically. You want to go fast enough that it doesn't take 30 years to get there, but you also want to go slow enough that you don't completely overshoot your target. And you need to go slow enough so that the safe disengage can activate. I'm going to demonstrate this to you. As you can see right now, my ETA is reducing very quickly as I approach this target, but I don't want it to go down too quickly. I want to slow down at the last second. So best way to go about this is to have the time going down, but not going down so fast, because you'll notice that suddenly when you approach the object, it flies right past you because you're going way too fast. So, like I said, an act of fine balance between going fast, getting there in the least amount of time possible, but not going so fast as to overshoot completely. So, Azaban City is the name of our destination. I'm already throttling back here, preemptively so, just to make sure I don't completely miss the target. It's no big deal. If you miss the target, just turn around and try again, like she said, right? But just for the sake of this being a tutorial mission, I'd like to get it correctly the first time around. So of course it's up to you to point the ship in the correct direction. This is not automatically oriented like the hyperdrive. This is really just you flying around, but at an incredibly high speed. I'm gonna slightly increase my throttle here gently so the time can start going down a little bit, because I think I'm getting real close to having this safe disengage show up. I believe the key to disengage by default is J, so I'm actually gonna get my finger on it nice and ready to go. So here we go, Azeban City. Safe disengage.
We can drop out range now. Disengage supercruise. You made it. Be sure to request docking before you enter the station. Flight controllers take their jobs very seriously. Tend to get upset if you start trespassing.
Alright, so I can go to the Contacts tab now. Select Azeban City and go request docking.
You still haven't requested that permission to dock, Commander.
Now, I'll explain to you why that was denied. I did that intentionally. It's because you need to request docking permission within 7.5 kilometers of the station and not more than that. So I'm going to go ahead and enter station's zone. I'm even going to boost that way. Doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to throttle down so that I don't ram the damn station. And then I'm going to go to Contacts, Azeban City, request docking. Here we go.
You're clear for approach, Commander. Just don't forget to deploy your landing gear. You won't be putting that ship on the deck without your landing gear. I'd recommend you deploy it.
Yeah, don't worry, ma'am. Do not worry, ma'am. So, it's telling me to go to pad 43. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and get ready, nice and aligned with the door. Use my yaw and my thrusters as much as I can. And I'm gonna go ahead and deploy my landing gear here.
Landing gear deployed.
And
Be careful passing through the access corridor, Commander. And try to avoid head-on collisions with exiting ships. That cargo needs to get there in one piece.
here we go.
Good. You're in. You'll want to regulate your speed as you approach the landing pad. Oh, and pay attention to the docking assistance display. You'll need to make sure your ship is facing away from the entrance and that you're centered above the landing pad before you touch down. Remember, you can use your vertical and lateral thrust if you need to refine your movement.
Alright, so I know that I've engaged my landing gear. It's deployed. And now I have the pad assistance display, which I'm using right now. I'm actually using my thrusters to do most of the work. Trying to hit that dead center. And that should be good enough. There we go.
Nice job. I might just be able to depend on you after all. I'll be calling on your services again, I'm sure. Till next time, Commander.
So I believe that wraps up the navigation training mission. So that shows you some of the coolest aspects of flying around in space in this game. In my opinion, the stations really blew me away the first time I saw them. The scale feels real, the dock feels real, and all these animations when they take you in the hangar and back out are just absolutely amazing. So we're done with that one. We're not going to do advanced combat training like I said earlier. I'm going to be skipping on that one because I absolutely suck at it and I don't want to stretch this video on forever, but we will go into combat training, or what I could call basic combat training, because yes, there are guns in this game. It is really cool to use, and no, it will not always go as badly as advanced combat training. I have a feeling that that mission is there for you to refine your skills when you've had quite some time playing this game and you want to start beating some more difficult enemies, or maybe practice at defeating really good players even. Because I was really surprised at how advanced combat training was a lot more difficult than the plain combat training, which I'm going into now.
There he is, right on time. Don't get too excited, though. Before you engage, you need to make sure he still has a bounty on his head. Target his ship to scan him.
Alright, so I programmed the key just for that on my joystick, so I go ahead and point at that target. I hit that button, and voila, that actually targets the ship. So I'm going to give some throttle.
The more you wait, the more you lose the element of surprise, Commander. Right, he's definitely your mark. Time to deploy your hard points, Commander.
So you hit U to deploy your hard points, which does a cool little animation bringing out the guns. And now I can go ahead and fire on the target. I'm going to go ahead and expedite here.
Your little friend here has a combat rank of harmless. Seems to have left the hangar without any shields, so you should be able to make light work of him.
Alright, so I'm going to keep my speed, my throttle, in that blue range you see there. That indicates that you are in the range of throttle that makes your ship the most maneuverable.
Just a few hits should do it, Commander.
So I'll be able to stay on his tail and do tight turns a lot easier if I stay in that blue range than if I go full throttle or too slow. There's another thing going on here. You can see I have a sort of automatic targeting going on. I realized this existed when I accidentally did this once, and I ended up taking the ship out without having the target on him, which makes combat a lot more difficult. So you want to make sure that you are in fact targeted on what you're trying to take down, so that you can have a lot more leniency when it comes to targeting. And should be coming down in not too long. There we go. The explosions are incredibly satisfying.
Commander, you're about 3,000 credits richer. Bad news is, it looks like his buddy is out for revenge.
There's another one.
Target might put up more of a fight, so I'd say more firepower is in order. Might want to switch to your secondary fire group to bring your pulse laser online.
Alright, so I need to switch to my secondary fire group.
To dispatch this target with some pulse lasers, switch your fire group. To really gain the upper hand in combat, use the ship's power distribution to its full potential. Shifting the power between systems, engines, and weapons will mean you have power where you need it, when you need it. This target won't put up much of a fight, so I suggest you put full pips to weapons.
Nice! Oh, look at that. That was a nice and close explosion.
Not all targets will crumble so easily, so I suggest you choose your fights wisely.
So, yet another training mission completed. This was really cool, actually. I forgot that the second enemy in it was not that easy. They don't give it to you. It's a lot easier than the advanced combat training, where you'll probably get your ass handed to you the first time you try it. But there's a little fight in that second enemy. It gets harder than the first one, is what I'm trying to say, because they do want you to use two guns, and they want you to manage that, so they make it flee a little more effectively, and they obviously make it fire back, which is pretty awesome. So let's go back to the training missions. We have one more to go. This one might be a little bit lackluster in comparison to everything else we've gone through, but I also thought it was cool because I had not seen any of the mining mechanics when I had first tried this in 2014.
Hello again, Commander.
Hello.
Being a combat pilot isn't the only way to make a living.
What have you?
Sometimes it's a good option to retreat to an asteroid belt for some mining. So let's get to work. If you deploy your hard points, I'll wait here and keep an eye out for any pirate activity.
Sure you will. Alright, check out the animation here again. I love when you deploy hardpoints.
Whoa, okay. It looks like you've maxed out your power plant. No need to panic. Your ship has insufficient power for all your active modules. The shield generator is probably draining the most juice, so you better deactivate it by disengaging it in your modules panel.
Okay, that first prompt she gave me, press 4 to open your modules panel, that's wrong. All you gotta do in VR is actually look at it. Since the first time I'll be using this today, I'll go to modules, I'll scroll down to shield generator. Once I reach shield generator, I hit space, and then I'm free to go ahead and disable it. So I can't repair it right now, but I can uncheck it because, as it says, there isn't even sufficient power to run it. So let's go ahead and disable it, and that brings everything else back
You need to
online.
approach one of these rocks. So pick a rock, any rock.
All right, let's go for this rock.
Don't be overwhelmed by the options, Commander. They're all pretty much the same.
All right.
Right. Let's take a chunk out of this asteroid. Point and shoot, Commander.
All right, but first I need to switch to analysis mode, which allows me to go ahead and shoot a chunk out of this rock.
Good job. The chunk is broken off. If you target it, you'll be able to scoop it up.
All right, so I can go ahead and target that iron. And what's the other fragment? There we go, palladium.
Palladium. You got lucky, Commander. You're gonna need to deploy your cargo scoop if you want to retrieve the fragment.
All right, press the home key to deploy your cargo scoop.
Deployed.
So check it out.
Keep an eye on the cargo scooping reticule to the left of your radar. Make sure your speed's under 40 and use this to guide your ship in gently to scoop up the ore.
She says under 40, but I'd recommend most of the time when you get really close to these that you keep it under 10 even. Because look at how quickly it just
Take it
veers
slow
off
at first,
target.
Commander. You'll get there.
And I got it. There we go.
Good job. The ore's safely on board. Now you need to fill up your hopper with enough of the stuff to be able to refine one canister. Why don't you keep mining this asteroid until you have enough ore? Once
All right.
your resource bin is full, your refinery should kick into action. Then, you'll have a canister of pure palladium in your cargo hold. Ka-ching.
Alright, let's go get some more palladium, yo. Now, it's a little harder to get them when you've just shot them out because they seem to move for a while until they finally stabilize somewhere. Like this one I'm gonna miss. Oh, wow, I thought... so much for missing. I really thought I was gonna miss it there. That was a really close call. It'll happen sometimes that you just try to pick it up very shortly after mining it, and obviously you're chasing it, it's moving a lot, and you might end up missing it. So there we go. Let's try that again.
You'll need to collect a few more chunks of ore before your hopper is full, Commander.
There we go. Trying to stay dead center, not too fast. And see, that's what happened. Oh my god, I can't believe I picked it up.
Congratulations on a job well done, Commander.
I can't believe I
Palladium
picked
should
it up.
fetch a good price when you get back to port. You know, if you decide to make a go at mining, you might want to think about picking up some collector drones. And believe me, they'll greatly increase your productivity.
I'm surprised she didn't tell me, what were you doing? Did you drink a bottle of vodka before doing this mission? So yeah, that went awfully well. Okay, so let's head back to the menu. That is all I will do of the training missions today. It's time to do the real thing now. Alright, it's time to take a look at the solo mode in Elite Dangerous. Now, I could have played this online, I just haven't yet, so I don't have any experience with it, but I'm pretty sure the whole thing goes down the same. If everything goes for you like it did for me, you will begin your mission at Russell Ring. You'll begin your adventure, should I say, at Russell Ring, which is in the Erebit system, if I'm not mistaken. And from here, you can actually take your first mission, you can do a bit of work on your ship. But what you want to do generally when you play Elite Dangerous is, you see right now I have 47,090 credits. Well, you want to make that number go up. You obviously want to make some dough. That is the whole gist behind Elite Dangerous, or at least that's the way I've understood it. So one of the first things I want to do now is, because I've gone on a bunch of missions already, I'm going to refuel my ship. So you can do that under quick maintenance when you're at any dock or station, if I'm not mistaken. Then ship services, I could actually go outfit my ship. I could go to the shipyard to change vessels, to actually change vehicles. And I could go to advanced maintenance to actually perform some more complex work on my ship. But I'm going to skip through those right now because they're not really part of what I need to show when it comes to playing this game. I mean, this you do when you get a lot of credits. You can buy ships, you can paint them, you can do a whole bunch of cool stuff. But what really counts when you're at a space station like this is the mission board. This is where you're actually going to earn your bread. So we're going to go ahead and open that. I'm going to take a look at what's available. I'm going to try to pick something that is a mission that I can actually finish within the time of this video. It can actually be a little tricky to do. If you look for missions like, for example, this one, Assassinate Pirate Lord Lotkinpera. Well, the names in this game are insane. So I'm just going to check out. Okay, recommended rank is harmless, which is good. This is something that I may be able to pull off. Erebit School of Commerce need you to assassinate the Pirate Lord Lotkinpera from LHS 3447 Cartel Faction. So you scan the nav beacon in LHS 3447, which is a system, by the way, or use a discovery scanner to locate the target's signal source. Collect a reward from me at Russell Ring. So I think I might want to go ahead and take that. I've done black box salvage missions so far, and they can actually end up being very time consuming in terms of searching for the damn black box. So I'm going to go ahead and take something where I have to go basically shoot at some fucker. So now that I've gotten that, I'm actually going to go ahead and exit, and we're going to launch right away. We're going to see if we can't do this mission immediately. While my ship is being lined up for takeoff, I can check my transactions here and see how much time they've given me to complete this. 23 hours and 34 minutes. Alright, so I'm cleared to leave the station. I'll make sure that there's not too much traffic. There are 3 ships right now. 4 actually lining up for the doorway, so I have to be careful not to get in anyone's way. And while I describe that, now the 23-hour, 34-minute time that I'm being given to complete my mission is not game time, okay? If I log out of the game, that time still ticks down. So this is absolute time. This is a mistake I've done a few times with missions. I would pick a mission and say, oh, I'll come back in a couple of days and do it. And then I would show up and realize, oh, the mission's failed because this is real time. This is not time spent in game.
Landing gear retracted.
I'll go ahead and retract my landing gear. I'm gonna give a bit of boost so I can clear the station as quickly as possible. Just get out of their way so they can go on with their thing while I go on with mine. I do believe I have to get within 7.5 kilometers before I can execute a jump to LHS 3447, which isn't too far. I've actually been there before on a black box salvage mission. So I'm gonna go ahead and slow myself down while I do this. Navigation, we're gonna go to the system I need to go to, which I think I just sped right by. LHS 3447. Okay, lock destination and engage hyperdrive. I need to line up with the target, which I will do right now. Oh yeah, and I have a nice view on Russell Ring from here, which is pretty cool. So here we go. Engaging hyperdrive to LHS 3447. Bye-bye, wrestle ring. Now, I'll need to work fast. I've seen it happen where I get to the destination and it immediately locates your target. If that happens, I need to work fast, so I'm gonna try to be vigilant here. Okay, mission objective detected. This is very interesting. I need to go and see if I have anything in blue. No, I don't. Target body currently unknown, scan required. Alright. Here we go. I was looking for it, but looks like this is all gonna happen on its own. Gotta deploy my hard points. This means that the target might have found me first. Okay, that's him. Here we go. This is gonna look a lot like the combat training, actually. Gotta tell you, I've tried some bounty missions where this took absolutely forever to happen. Okay, now all my weapons need to cool down, so I'm just gonna stay on this guy. Okay, I don't have a secondary fire group at the moment. Ooh! Oh, you're flying close, are you, you little shit? You're flying close. You're not gonna get away from me. I'm gonna let my pulse lasers recharge. And maybe go ahead and divert more power to weapons so I can use them for a longer period. I've actually mapped myself some keys to do that on my stick so I can quickly redirect power. Okay, there's little left to him right now. Yeah, I was expecting that. But you ain't gonna get me so easy, buddy. That bastard. He's gonna give me a fight for it, is he? Have to be careful because now I'm seeing another ship on my radar. I may get attacked in the process. Yes! Nice! We have destroyed this fucker! Okay, I believe my objective has been updated. So right now what I want to do is get the hell out of here and go back to Erevet, and I'm going to need to disengage my hardpoints and engage hyperdrive. That was pretty exhilarating, even though the guy didn't put up much fight. His shields kept coming back online. I was wondering how long that was going to take. That was really, really exciting right there. My only combat experience happened in combat training. I did not yet get the chance to successfully complete a bounty mission. In fact, there's one that I tried, I couldn't even find the target. And after a good hour of searching, I kind of gave up because it was getting annoying to fly around the target looking for your, fly around the body looking for your target. But in this case, everything happened really, really quickly. That was an impressive feat right there. Went a lot better than the last time I took on one of these. So I'm gonna go ahead and collect my reward, show you how that works, and that'll probably be enough for a video. If you people want to see more on Elite Dangerous after I publish this video, go ahead and mention it in the comments. I'd be glad to play this some more. I know that there is probably a shit ton or 10 shit tons of stuff I did not cover in this video. One being that I am very new to this game, even though I'm approaching 10 hours in it now. And two being that there's just so much stuff in this game. I could actually get the season pass, which would give me access to horizons where I think I can dock on planets and stuff like that, and I can actually drive around a rover. That's the kind of thing I might be interested in. I'll see how much I play this game for myself before I jump into buying the season pass. But if you people are interested in seeing more of this game, let me know in the comments, because that'll actually summon me to go ahead and play this game on my own a little more so I can learn more about it and then convey that to you in a video where I plan a bunch of things to show you that I think are cool. Safe disengage, ready. So I spoke about this before. You need to balance the speed at which you're approaching to make sure you don't overshoot the object in Super Cruise. That is what I will do, sir. So I'm being told to request docking permission. I'm going to preemptively line myself up here with the correct end of the station. Lower my throttle, go to contacts, where I will see Russell Ring and request docking. Let's do it with a bit of boost here. We're gonna come in hot, okay? We're gonna come in hot to celebrate a successful mission. That was absolutely awesome, by the way. Now, the ship didn't put up much of a fight. That's probably a good thing for the purpose of this video. I'm still a noob here. I don't know if I could have gotten away with a tougher fight. Whoops. Did I just deploy my hard points? Didn't want to do that. Yes. I'm not doing an act of aggression. I accidentally pressed my trigger, okay, dude? Alright, here we go. So, something I really like, I mentioned it before in the video, but I'm going to mention it again. Using a stick in this game with the rudders really makes it feel like aviation. Alright, there's my... Wow. There's my dock. That is some tight docking. And I'm going to go ahead and deploy my landing gear, wait till I get the cue. There we go, that's my cue. Alright, lined up above the pad. Gonna go ahead and lower my ship. Gently, just gently approach till I see the sensors come up. Then I'll know what kind of corrections to make to line up with the pad. Alright, a bit left, a bit of reverse. Back to forward, gentle, gentle. Like I said earlier, I like to do these in style, so I make sure I like line up in the center. But you don't really have to. You can be very crude with it, and it's still gonna give it to you. And here we go. All right. Now let's take a look at redeeming our mission. Thank you. All right, let's go to the mission board. And that will load, and I'll be able to collect my reward for blowing up that rather incredibly easy target right there. So, assassinate Pirate Lord Lotkinpera. Jesus, man, that name. And then I have a bunch of choices for my reward. So I could get anomalous bulk scan data unit, more influence over reputation and just 10,000 credits, 31,000 credits for this one. Right now, I want money, I want reputation, I want influence, so I will choose the main reward, which just gives you a lot of credits. So there we go. I am now the proud owner of 113,000 credits. I probably will be leveling up shortly if I keep doing these. So that's basically how Elite Dangerous goes. You level up, you get some reputation and influence, so I guess at that point your missions become more important, you get a lot more money for them, and in the end you're able to install more sophisticated equipment on your vessel. In fact, you're able to change vessels and so forth. Now, this went well enough that I may have a moment to go ahead and just show you before... Okay, I'm going to make sure to refuel. And then I'll be able to show you a couple of cool things. So if I go to Shipyard, I can actually show you how this goes. Basically, you can actually buy ships from here. So the Eagle is the one I'm using right now, which I purchased just for fun. I mean, I made enough credits to buy it, so I went ahead and bought it just for fun. I can actually buy a hauler now. Go figure. If I wanted to do like cargo missions or missions that require more space. I do have a stored ship, the Sidewinder, the first one you get in the game, that I put aside because I wanted to play with the Eagle a little bit, which I just purchased. And ship transfer, not too sure what that does, if it's selling ships or anything. As you can see, I'm not completely familiar with everything in this game, but I'll probably eventually need to use this eventually. I guess this is a way to get your ship from another station. If I'm like at the other end of the damn galaxy and I need a ship that I parked here, I can use ship transfer and they're going to charge me a fee to bring it over to me. So that's it. And these are the other ships. I mean, right now I could actually buy this one. And then the Cobra Mk3 Type 6 transporter. Of course, in my case, I'll be interested in those race car-like ships, the quick ones that have a lot of firepower and so forth, because down the line, I can't do it constantly right now. I cannot take combat-only missions all the time, because I do think I'll reach a point where I'll get in actual trouble, or I'll reach a point where I just can't find the damn target, and then it finds me and blows me up. So I'll try to balance myself up until the point where I really have a ship that I am confident with, that I know enough about the game in order to find my target as quickly as possible. Then I'll start focusing on more combat-oriented missions. This reminds me of the days where I used to play TIE Fighter on the PC, Star Wars TIE Fighter. I mean, it was all combat, right? This controls similarly if you're using a joystick, so, I mean, this is a behemoth in comparison. Don't get me wrong, I'm not comparing the two directly, but I'm saying when it comes to the mechanics and the combat, it does feel similar to engage in a dogfight in this game. So I think that is amazing, because I used to love that game. So hope to be able to bring back some of that magic when I level up in this game and get a ship that has maybe more speed, more weapon power, and so forth. I do like the Eagle so far. The Eagle is a lot more maneuverable. It's got some good firepower, and also it's just basically it's a cheap purchase. You can buy it after your first 1 or 2 missions are completed. So I'm very happy with it. Looks lovely in here. Looks kind of like a sports car equivalent of a spaceship. So that's it, folks. I'm going to wrap it up here. It's been a really long video. I had so much to go over. It's probably one of the more difficult videos I've done in a while, actually. This is most definitely not a Let's Play grade type production. So that's like I said earlier, also let me know in the comments if you want to know more about this game. If you want me to convey you more of what I discover this game, I would love to do it. But for now, I think I've done my homework in terms of just presenting you the very basics and showing you my understanding of them. And also the fact that this game is indispensable for virtual reality. I gotta say, if you have a headset, you're looking for something to do and have not yet checked this out, yeah, this is worth it. Even if it's just for the training missions, you cannot overlook Elite Dangerous. So that's it, folks. Thanks for watching Stereo 3D Productions. This was Elite Dangerous, and I shall see you next time.